And we are live. Mike, I love what you did with your hair. We are back behind the desk, everybody, and we want to welcome you back into the KellyCast. I'm Dan. This is Mike, and we're happy to bring you the official pregame show brought to you by Yeti.
Not yet. What's going on, people? I am excited for today. Got a snow day. I get to watch the Bills in full instead of part at work, listen to part on the way here.
That would have sucked.
It would have been, I would have been very upset with that.
It really would have sucked. So, Mike, we are live here at the KellyCast on Monday, January 15th. It's about 3:01 p.m. Kickoff, about an hour and a half away here. What did you think of the delay? Give me your first thoughts to hearing this Bills game was not going to be played on Sunday at 1 o'clock.
Well, it wasn't that we should build a domed stadium and this wouldn't happen. That wasn't my first thought. My first thought was, this sucks. I'm going to miss this. I'm going to be at work. I know we're going to have work. This is the worst thing that could possibly happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's bad because we were all expecting to have a game played on Sunday, but the elements get in the way, of course, right? Of course, we've had like one snow day this entire year. One day with snow. Didn't snow on Christmas. Didn't snow on Christmas Eve. None of that. But the second the Bills are in the playoffs, the second they host a playoff game, Mother Nature's like, here we come. They're like, here we go.
Yeah, they're going to somewhere sunnier, though. They're going golfing.
Well, I mean, we are here to talk.
It should be outlawed, by the way. If it doesn't snow on Christmas in Buffalo, it's just not. It should be outlawed, period.
I think you can take that mohawk off now.
All right. It's a little itchy.
We are here to talk to you guys about the Bills and Steelers. We have yet to see the inactives, so if you see them and you're here, please post them in the comments down below. We're waiting for them. How about we get to some quick thoughts, Mike, about the other games that have concluded. Starting off, we'll go in order here with the Houston Texans and Cleveland Browns final score of 45-14. What did you think of this game, Mike?
I was in complete shock. I expected a better fight from playoff Joe. He's never, but I would like to point out that I was correct. There's a first time for everything, and he finally
had
that
every week.
I could
and claim yourself to be correct.
It's okay. I mean, still, regardless.
Irregardless, the Houston Texans showed the Browns who was boss. I know. That's why I said it. They played like a veteran team. They played the way I would have expected the Cleveland Browns to play.
Yeah.
All the young guys got involved. They all did well. And how about the scriptwriters this weekend, Mike? The trade between the Texans and the Browns for Deshaun Watson, which led to the Browns having this great of a team with this much depth. And Texans come in and say, hey, you're the Cleveland Browns.
Because Deshaun Watson played like 3 games all season, so it was
a good trade.
It was everybody but Deshaun who got them there in this first place.
I wasn't claiming Deshaun to have done good. No, but the Browns
built. Just making sure.
You know, they traded Deshaun Watson for all these assets, and they hit on a lot of them. They hit on a lot of draft picks. So I think that what we have to look for in this game was, okay, it's playoff Joe. It's the number 1 defense. And that's what I expected. I expected a close game. But 2 pick sixes later, you could pick up my jaw off the floor.
Yeah. It was probably looked like my video earlier. Are you kidding me?
Just unbelievable. Only threw it 21 times, but 3 of them were scores, all in the first half, by the way. 2 defensive touchdowns. Nico Collins goes for almost 100 yards. Brevin Jordan, the tight end, goes for a really long touchdown, that being 76 yards. Like I mentioned, the 2 picks going for touchdowns. It was complimentary football all day, and obviously in a dome. So
yeah, they played poised and, like you said, like a veteran team. And they're full of young guys. So.
I'm going to be excited to see what they do in the second round because I think that team I may have underestimated them, and a lot of other people did too.
They can be scary for a long time.
Yeah, they're young. One of the youngest teams in the league. Let's move on to the Miami Dolphins and the Kansas City Chiefs. Mike, final score of 26-7, the third coldest game in NFL history. I know you saw the video of an employee taking the beer out of the fridge and it freezing instantaneously.
Was smart water, but still, yeah, it was instantaneous.
You saw the beer
I saw the beer as well.
exploding, right?
Yeah, one of the guys' beer. Oh, wow. Patrick Mahomes' helmet exploding.
Yeah.
I mean, it was that cold. That was crazy.
That was wild. The NFL clearly showing favoritism to the Chiefs by allowing him to run a play after that and then allowing him to switch helmets without having to take a timeout or running the risk of a delay of game. That was bullshit. But the Kansas City Chiefs got hosed at one point too on a late pass interference call that should have been pass interference. It wasn't called. It didn't end up mattering. 26-7, the final score. And I'm not going to make excuses for Miami because I don't like Miami. We know my feelings on Miami. They were down to two 10-plus year vets in the NFL rushing the passer. On top of that, Melvin Ingram, who reminds me of Eddie Lacy. Just puts on a lot of weight, and he's not producing very well. So they did not have the amount of pressure on Mahomes that they needed to get this game going. Yeah, there was a deep touchdown to Tyreek. That's what you get. But let me ask you this, Mike. Is Tua the weakest point of the Miami Dolphins offense?
Ooh, I did not expect that question. I don't know the weakest. I don't know if he's the weakest point, but I mean, I think he didn't have a bad year, but definitely a systematic quarterback.
Mm-hmm. But if that's a conversation that can even be brought up as the Miami Dolphins, I think you need to say, okay, if he is one of the weaker, even if he's not the weakest, if he's one of the weaker, you might need to upgrade that position, right? Because this team, while it is really good, and they're young too, obviously with Waddle. How much longer do you have Tyreek?
Where do you go then? Where do you go from there?
I don't know personally. You know, I'm not the GM or anything of the Miami Dolphins, so I don't know exactly what I'd like to do. I know they looked into Brady before he retired. I don't know if a rookie's the way to go. Maybe a guy like Kirk Cousins, who's going to be coming out of that contract in Minnesota. I don't know exactly what you want to do, but I don't think, and I'm going to steal a line from you, I don't think Tua is the guy to get them over the hump.
So far, he hasn't been either. He's been 2 first-round exits in the last 2 years.
Doesn't have a playoff win. But he didn't play last year. Remember that.
True.
So.
True. That is.
we can't blame him.
Yeah. Fair point. Forgot about that.
Let's move on to Mike's favorite game from the weekend.
Go Pack, go!
Green Bay Packers and Dallas Cowboys.
I'm renouncing any fan ownership of being a fan of the Dallas Cowboys.
You came out, Mike. You came out with your Cowboys gear on, your helmet, your football.
Yeah, just like I would a Bills game, and how quickly did I change that outfit to a Green Bay?
Tell me this. Let me ask you this: if that game was better, would you still have been outside shoveling?
If it was a better game, no, I would have been watching it. But that was more interesting. That was definitely
it was better to be out in the cold than to watch the Cowboys.
Get the snow blowing in my face. I mean, at least I'm not a diehard fan. I feel bad for the diehards, but you know, as far as I go, I can sleep fine at night.
Yeah, and the final score of this game makes it seem close, right? 48-32. We all know this game wasn't close, right?
No.
At the end of the first half, the score was 27-7 in favor of the Green Bay Packers. Now, this game has a trend just like the other one, Mike. 2 pick sixes. If you give up 2 defensive touchdowns, your likelihood of winning the game drastically go down. That's what happened here.
You gotta have. I think it's got to go down to something crazy like 20% at that point, because that I mean, 2 defensive touchdowns on top of an offense that was already banging. You know, they went right down the field on them for first series. So
who do you blame as a Cowboys fan in this game? Do you blame
coaching all the way? Dak showed his old true colors. He's been great. Let me be careful with the word great. and Dak Prescott in the same sentence, but Dak's been playing pretty decent ball all year, right? And he was even talking with the MVP candidate, and then he just laid an egg at home, and where they haven't lost all season. Again, another first.
Yeah, week one of 2022 was the last time they lost at home. But Mike, I got to take you to the defense.
Yeah,
they didn't have a single sack, they didn't have a single forced turnover, and they allowed 27 points to be put up on them in one quarter. I believe one of the pick sixes was in the first half. I don't know. I don't remember exactly, but
I'd say it's tough
bad.
to play a game when you're playing, when you're out there 90% of it. So, I mean, but yeah, they did play pretty bad. And I actually made a joke with a friend of mine earlier saying that it's all because, Parsons hasn't had like a hold call on him all year. And he gets one hold call, and then it was downhill for the defense from there.
I guess he shouldn't have wanted it, right? I will say, Mike, at least penalties weren't a factor in this game. I mean, pretty even around 7 for the Packers, 6 for the Cowboys. There was the questionable one on the fair catch. I think we can call that a questionable call at best. But the Dallas Cowboys were not ready to play. You thought they were going to get past the first round, but it turns out that
I've been wrong a lot. I would like to point that out just before he does. I've been wrong about every game except for one.
Yeah. Hey,
hopefully it doesn't continue today for our Buffalo Bills.
I'm in the same boat, so it is what it is. The Green Bay Packers bounced the Dallas Cowboys in round 1. It will be very interesting to see if Mike McCarthy has a job in a couple of days, because I expect him to be removed as the head coach.
Everyone expects Belichick.
Yeah, I think it's very possible, but would you rather have Harbaugh or Belichick?
Harbaugh.
I think so too.
Harbaugh's it's not that Belichick. It's not a snipe at Belichick either. I just think Harbaugh's a better fit for that organization
and for this time, right? If this is Belichick 10 years ago, I think it's different. I think every team clamors for him, but this is Belichick at the ripe age of 70 plus. Like, I don't know that Belichick
Bill's tried to bring back Marv Levy at 94, so
I don't know that he's still with the times, man. I really don't. I still think he's a hell of a coach. I'm not going to go as far as saying the greatest of all time. I know a lot of people will, but you got to put that asterisk next to it. Same with their Super Bowls. You put that asterisk next to that because he had Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Right? And you mentioned that. Now, Mike, you're familiar with the phrase, they are who we thought they were, right? Familiar with that?
Yeah, sure am.
Well, the Detroit Lions proved that to be false, because they did not lie in this game, right? They did not do it. When you expect the Detroit Lions to falter, and this is an organization that hasn't had success, their last win in 1992 in the playoffs, right? You didn't think they were going to pull it off, did you?
I didn't. I thought Stafford was going to come in and clean up, especially with everything that was going on. He was going to have that extra motivation, and he gave you said this was going to be the best game out of the entire wild card, and so far it's proven to be right. Yeah,
I also thought the other games was going to be good. So take my opinion and throw it out the fucking window, Mike.
Well, I'm just trying. I'm just giving you credit for something here, all right? Jeez.
If you want to give me credit for anything,
can you take the C- and let's move on?
If you want to give me credit for anything, how about you give me credit for not breaking your controller when we were playing NHL the other night? All right. But let's talk about Matt Stafford for a second. Hell of a guy, hell of a performer,
yeah.
One of the strongest, toughest players of his era, right?
Mm-hmm.
I want to take you to something you haven't heard yet. Now, we talked about beforehand how Detroit was treating Stafford, right?
Mm-hmm.
After the game in his press conference, one of the Detroit media members asked him, "Are you happy for this city, like for Detroit? Because obviously, he lost, but he played there, so that was kind of
for the majority of his career, sure."
The question was pointed, and Stafford said, "I'm happy for the players, for the guys." That's what he said. That and he stopped his quote right there. Because Detroit, you did him dirty. He had nothing but good things to say once that trade happened. Him out of Detroit, obviously to Los Angeles, and he wins the Super Bowl. You guys might have gotten a Super Bowl out of it too. We have yet to see that. But the way you treat him, come on. Can you be any less classy?
Yeah, I mean, I get that he asked for the trade and he was your best guy and you didn't want to see him go. And you know what? Maybe it's, speaking of NHL, maybe it's taking it back to Jack Eichel. He asked for the trade and he wanted what he wanted. He wanted to win. The whole goal
I think
in
it's
the
different.
NFL is to win a championship.
I think it's different though. Jack Eichel was having other issues with the team, issues with the medicals, issues with
sure.
performing to maybe the Sabres standards as the number 2 overall pick, right?
And Detroit up to this point had proven that they really weren't willing to do everything that they could to win. I mean, they've had how many top performers over the years and couldn't even crack a top 10 team.
Yeah, and they struggled to get to the playoffs, and obviously they hadn't won until just yesterday. Congratulations.
For the first time since, Dan here was a glimmer in his daddy's underwear. I mean,
oh man, you know why I'm reacting the way I'm doing it. It's not because of your joke, Mike, but I do have the list of the Buffalo Bills inactives, and there's a name here that I did not want to see. So starting off from the top, wide receiver Gabe Davis out with that knee. Taylor Rapp, who obviously was the game sealer in the Miami game, is out also with a knee injury, I believe. Linebacker Tyrell Dodson also out. He practiced on Friday, but they ended up not making him go for game time. I'm going to skip the next one. We'll go to him last. Kingsley Jonathan, defensive end, inactive. Alec Anderson on the offensive line, and Poona Ford at defensive tackle. But the biggest name on this list, Mike, is none other than CB1, Rasul Douglas.
That hurts. That means DeMar's stepping in, right? No.
It's going to be Dane Jackson on the one side, Christian Benford on the other, Taron Johnson in the middle, and then Micah and Jordan at safety. So,
you know what? I don't think I'm too crazy concerned because the defense has been taken these beatings all year and still proven that they've
they haven't had a lot of injury. I mean, they've had those injuries at the start of the season, right, Mike? We know Milano, Jones, Tre'Davious. Since then, the Buffalo Bills defense has been pretty healthy. There have not been many issues going on over there. The thing I would tell you is Dane Jackson knows this team. He knows this system, and as much as we want to bag on him sometimes for not coming up with interceptions or whatever, he is a sure tackler. And he's been in this system for a long time. If it's going to be anybody in that position, I'm pretty happy that it's Dane Jackson.
Right. I agree.
Do we have the Steelers inactives? Did the Steelers post their inactives? I do not see them. Steelers Twitter, get with the damn times, post your inactives. I want to see who's inactive. Anyway.
Yeah.
Let's get into our thoughts on this game, Mike. Where are you looking for the Bills to make their impact? Who do you think is the key to this game? What is the key to this game? Any major thoughts you have at this moment?
The key to the game is going to be Josh Allen and what he can do and keep those turnovers down. He's proven over and over again that without the turnovers, they beat the crap out of teams. So.
Mm-hmm.
I think they need to
remember the stat I told you earlier.
They're going to have TJ Watt out as well. So I think the run game, incorporating James Cook back into the run game, is important as well.
During Wild Card Weekend, Super Wild Card Weekend so far, Mike, I mentioned this to you earlier. The teams that have won have not had a turnover. So I think winning the turnover battle is a huge part of this game. It looks like the Steelers are obviously out TJ Watt. I'm not seeing anybody else. Here we go. Okay. So Mitch Trubisky is inactive, but he is the emergency third quarterback. Cornerback Darius Rush, safety Elijah Riley, linebacker Blake Martinez, who could be a big one. He used to be really good. I didn't know he was on the Steelers personally. I remember he was in Pokemon for a while, and then whatever. Tackle Dylan Cook, again TJ Watt, and DeMarvin Leal. If you ask me whose inactives are worse, it's the Buffalo Bills, because there's 4 key pieces on this inactive list for the Bills that get playing time.
Yeah, half the guys on the Steelers, I don't even know their names.
Exactly. So I think that's a concern. If you're the Buffalo Bills, you want to come out of this matchup healthy. You want to come out firing on all cylinders. You don't want to pull a Dallas Cowboys. You want to do everything you can. And I think we know.
Sorry, I got to knock on wood.
Yeah, we don't have wood anymore. What about over here?
Jesus.
Glad you left that over here. Thank you. I think that, you just have to play your brand of football. This is Buffalo weather. Okay, it might not snow. It's cold out there.
You got to forget Pittsburgh's used to that weather too. They only live about 3 hours south of us, so that they're used to playing in this type of weather as well. So
that's fine. We're the home team.
We don't get the advantage in the weather wise, but we do get the advantage of being a home game. And
even if it was an away game, the Bills Mafia would still be there. They'd still be traveling well, unless obviously we had the storm and they couldn't.
Or do you think that Bills Mafia would have listened to a travel ban to go to
I don't know.
a playoff game?
I'm not going to speculate on that.
I am. We would not miss that.
I'm not going to speculate on that. Let's get to our predictions here before we sign off. We want to thank you guys for a terrific season. This could be the last time you see us. I'm hoping not. But who knows what's going to happen with this Super Wildcard weekend. Mike, we'll kick things off with you.
I'm gonna go the Bills. I think the Steelers are gonna give us a tough game though. I don't think it's gonna be a game that they should take lightly. It is the playoffs, and there's already been some crazy upsets so far. So they gotta keep it tight today.
Okay, I like it. Your dad also selected the Buffalo Bills. His Super Bowl matchup, he wanted it to be Bills-Cowboys. Looks like you're already out on that front. The only undefeated member of the KellyCast crew is Mr. Mitchell Smith so far. Let's see who the rest of the KellyCast picks were. I believe everybody went with the Buffalo Bills, but I do want to confirm it before I say it. And it looks like my technology not looking to work with me. So I know everybody selected the Bills. So Sam, Melissa, Kevin, Aaron, and of course Lance. I'm not missing anybody. That's everybody. So Best of luck to everybody. It's been a tough weekend. Just remember, when you're making these predictions, it's not always the favorite that wins. And I hope the favorite wins in this one because the Bills are favored by 10 points, Mike.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we all do. I'm hoping not to turn into a Cowboys fan and then I still have a TV at the end of the night. So
I'm also taking the Bills, by the way, if you didn't know, because, I'll just turn this around for you to make sure everybody knows it's not a Steelers hat. I know we're wearing black hats, so it's a little confusing maybe for some of the people out there.
I wore this with purpose. This is a crucial catch, and there's going to be some crucial catches in this game. So.
I wore this with purpose too, Mike. This is a Super Bowl patch. Guys, we want to thank you for all your support, for watching. Please like, share, follow the KellyCast on all social medias, and hopefully we'll be seeing you for another pregame next week. It'll be at a different time. I can promise you that, unless Mother Nature comes calling again and we have a delay.
Yeah, I don't think I'll make that one though.
Thanks
again. Calling out twice.
We appreciate you. We love you, and as always, we leave you with a Go Bills before we go.
Go Bills.
You really gonna break the TV?
No.